price. What is this? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Bear with me. Interesting. They're the exact same. Now, granted, that is so fascinating. Stretch it out, everybody. How's everyone doing? Oh boy, just getting back from a long run in the ASICS NOOSA Tri-13. There it is, the Grateful Dead shoe. You better believe it, pretty psychedelic. Let's break it down. 50-mile full review. In case you've been wondering, where are all the running shoe reviews? They're coming down the pike, everyone. Lots of shoes I've been testing over the past 2 to 4 weeks, and there's just a lot of shoes coming on the market. And it takes time, though, to run in all of them up to 50 miles. And I've decided to skip a few of them with respect to first impression vlogs. Anyway, if you like running shoe reviews, stay tuned. Lots more coming down the pike. And yes, a shout out to all the triathletes who watch the channel. I never talk about triathlons here in the studio because I don't do triathlons. I've never done a triathlon. But if you are a triathlete, let us know down in the comments. And who knows, maybe there's some, I don't know, some Kona, is that right? Kona, right? The big race over in Hawaii. Maybe there's some Kona runners out there. So anyway, this shoe, the Tri-13, is designed, it has some features built into it that are geared more toward the triathletes out there. Let's dive in. Here we go. A neutral road running shoe, but it's not twisted much, everyone, all right? It's got some uniformity, is that the right word? Some, I don't want to say rigidity to it, but I'm doing all my might to make it twist right now. Very, very different than the Invincible from yesterday's vlog, all right? 5mm drop, 25 in the heel, 20 in the forefoot, and they have cut the drop, I believe, by 3mm. I don't think it was cut quite in half. I saw on the ASICS website just a minute ago that the Tri-12 was 8mm. So that's interesting. That's a pretty big development for the shoe. It's a lower drop compared to the previous iteration. So a medium stack height through that midsole foam. There's the women's size 8, men's size 9 on your screen. And listen, I ran in the shoe. I'm getting 7.4. I bet that's pretty accurate, but it might actually be closer to about 7.3 in my size, just because after you run in a shoe, you know, it always has a little more weight to it. And there is my score for the weight. We'll come back to that in a minute. We're looking at a soft engineered mesh, and I would say the highlight of the upper is the comfort. It's not plush, but it's very smooth. It's a smooth liner in there. In fact, that's a really important point. If you have slick socks, you know, especially in the summertime, I wear thin socks. In the wintertime, I wear thicker socks. I could foresee a little bit of slipping happening if you have slick on slick inside this shoe, which you don't want that at all. No slipping inside. So the reason it's so smooth and kind of slick on the inside is that this is designed for triathletes, meaning you can transition, oh boy, hear me out now. You go from the water to the bike to the run. So from the bike to the run, you have your bike shoes on, your bike pedal shoe that connect to the bike, whatever they're called, and then you just take them off real quick and you slip right into this shoe with no socks. So they're designing the shoe to be you could wear it without socks because it is so smooth on the inside there. Very breathable, very breathable. I could see this being awesome in warmer temperatures and maybe even a little bit of water draining happening, maybe. I don't know if they're going for that on the sides here in the vamp area, but solid there. It is a semi-gusseted tongue, okay? Love that. And there's my lockdown score on your screen. Solid score for the lockdown, no complaints really at all. Let's do the heel counter test. Wow, it's actually bending more than I expected, okay? So, and yes, it has the pull tab there, which is also, actually, let me know in the comments who likes a pull tab. Usually, I don't like a pull tab, but I gotta say, this one, I feel like a lot of times the pull tabs, they just aren't big enough, so it's hard to get your finger in there. This one is actually big enough to pull that shoe onto your foot. So good work there, ASICS, on the upper. Overall score is an 8 out of 10. Moving on to that material through the midsole, we're looking at Flight Foam with an Evo Ride platform. with guide sole technology built in, and my ride and energy return. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Here it is on the screen. I believe we passed 60 miles. I think we're at about 60 miles. So I went, well past 50 in this guy. And today's run was 23 miles at 650 a mile. Okay, my long run for the week. And by about mile, I'll just say right now, by about mile 18, we'll call it about mile 18, I was kind of yearning for a little more of that up there, the Invincible and a little bit of Zoom X, if you know what I mean. I was feeling a little bit like, oh, my legs are starting to feel it. So ride and energy return, I'm not going to give it a great score. I think this is more, and this is why I do 2 scores for the midsole. I do the ride and energy return, and then the overall score for the midsole. This is a responsive ride, okay? It's snappy underfoot. Designed, I'm going to say, more so for the half marathon distance, not so much for the marathon. I wouldn't race a marathon in this guy, for me personally, okay? If you like a little firmer ride, actually, let's do it. Durometer test, okay? It's got some give, but it doesn't, and maybe it's just because my volume is going up, my legs want a little more cushion under step, but it's compared obviously to that guy, it is a much different ride. So overall, for the midsole, we're going with 7.5 out of 10. Rubber in the forefoot and the heel, I actually think it's a good amount of rubber without covering the whole bottom of the shoe. I think you're gonna get, that's interesting. I hope, again, we don't get a lot of rain here in Colorado, but I would hope that you'd get decent grip on wet roads, that you're turning sharp, especially in a faster race like a 10K. Oh, I don't know. And if you get this shoe, let me know, how does the outsole perform? But I do like the fact that it's not completely covered through that outsole. I went true to size, no issues at all. It was awesome. Yeah, no issues at all with the fit. The thumb test was great. Didn't feel too narrow through the midfoot, and I was not slipping at all through the heel pocket. So once again, fit was spot on for the NOOSA Tri-13. Onto that comfort score, not amazing, okay? Again, not a plush upper, and back to that midsole ride, it's just not soft, all right? And it's not, I'm putting it more into the snappy and responsive category. Even just doing this, like it's wanting to snap back into the original midsole position very quickly. Okay, so it's snappy. It's not bouncy. It's important to distinguish between bouncy and snappy. Bouncy, snappy, more on the snappy side, responsive side. So there you go. Let's put those back up there. Moving on to my positives and drawbacks. Positive is smooth transition through that flight foam midsole when I was intentionally doing more of a heel / midfoot strike. Smooth transition through that foot strike. When I was forefoot, didn't feel quite as good, but it just was like it just is a really nice smooth transition. So if once again, that you're more of that heel / midfoot, I think this could work out for you. Drawback, again, is that a little too firm for the marathon distance for me. That's my drawback, all right? Moving on to the durability, 400 to 500, okay? After 50, 60 miles, I'm actually not seeing any creasing at all through the midsole. And the outsole looks pretty solid as well. So I'm going to go 400 to 500 miles for my durability prediction. How will I use this shoe? Who is it best for? I think for me, it would fall into more of, and this connects to the weight of the shoe, 6 to 10 mile tempo days, maybe half marathon to the weight. It's just a little heavy, okay, for a racer. Again, in my size, I got 7.4. In my mind, like for me, I love a shoe under 7 ounces in my size for race day. It's not bad, but it's about a half an ounce. If it could lose a half an ounce, I'd be more excited to take this out for race day. Therefore, this would be more so tempo day for training. All right, there you go. ASICS NOOSA Tri-13. And who is it best for? Well, triathletes. You know, again, back to that smooth inner lining. I just think, in fact, if you have raced or trained in this shoe, let us know in the comments if you are a triathlete. Out there, price point, $130, fine, you know, standard score, 7 out of 10. Nothing to write home about, but it's, you know, if it was obviously, I'd be doing backflips. If it was like 110, I'd be very excited about that, but 130 isn't too shabby. Other shoes to buy, interesting. This is really reminding me, who remembers, I'll try to link to it, the ASICS Hyperspeed, the blue shoe from 2020, upper right-hand corner. I don't know. It's a very similar shoe, I think, to the ASICS Hyperspeed that I tested out last year, okay? So go check that out. Here, there's a couple others on your screen that I'm putting into a similar category to the ASICS NOOSA Tri-13 shoe quick specs on your screen. Soak it in one more time. And 50-mile full review. There you go. 7.15 out of 10. I'm actually, as soon as, after today's run, I was like, you know what? This is going to break into the 7s, but probably not by much. Meaning anything under 7, I'm not excited about, but it did break into the 7s for my 50-mile full review score, okay? And wrapping it up with that question of the day. Oh yeah, let me just mention, would I buy it again? It would be on the bubble for me, okay? That 130 price, oh, that's so interesting actually. You know, the Mach 4 is starting to show up all over the place. Thanks for posting your pictures on the Facebook group and on Twitter. So they're starting to ship. Actually, today's March 1st. Also, okay, I can't resist. This is going to be available. The Invincible, people were asking me yesterday, March 11th, I do believe, okay? March 11th. So there you go. People were asking about that, but because these are both the same price, what is this? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Bear with me. Interesting. They're the exact same. Now, granted, that is so fascinating. Wow. That's it. It's so fascinating. Okay, I'm geeking out now. They're the same weight. Man, the Mach 4 feels lighter. It's so weird. I would buy the Mach 4 100% before this guy. I think it's the upper. I think it's the ProFly midsole. That's so fascinating. Anyway, I'm geeking out. Sorry. Onward and upward. Question of the day. Nothing to do with running shoes. Just trying to get to know all of you better around the world. Oh boy, here we go. This is an interesting one. Man, who is the most, who is the most interesting person you've ever met, and what did you talk about? All right, so this is kind of a crazy question, big, I don't know. Think of all the people you've met in your life, and what did you talk? I can think of and I use the word interesting intentionally, not the funniest, not the smartest, but the most interesting, okay? You could take that in a lot of different directions. That's the question of the day. Who knows? Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a teammate, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a stranger on an airplane, you know? Oh man, so butter the bread, ASICS NOOSA Tri-13. I don't think it's available yet. If it is, I'll link to it down below in the description, but I don't think it's quite available yet. Anyway, onward and upward, here we go. All right, tossing it to, I don't even know. Probably the Mach 4 or the Invincible from yesterday, in case you didn't see that. I'll pick one of those. So, Mach 4 most likely. All right, seek beauty, work hard, and love each other. See you tomorrow.